Hey guys, so this is Raymond, and today I'm going to talk about bullshit martial arts and why we should be very careful about calling bullshit on techniques. So it's a very popular thing right now to do on YouTube. Like a lot of instructors do it, where they look at techniques being demonstrated and they say, "Oh, this thing doesn't work. It's absolute bullshit." And the guy teaching this doesn't know what he's saying. And if these guys are doing it, with a sense of we want to improve the community, and we want martial arts to improve overall, that's a good thing. As long as it's not a cynical way to be controversial and earn a name for yourself, I'm all for it, guys. But this is what I'm gonna say about it, though. We have to be careful about calling this stuff bullshit, right? Because there are a lot of factors that affects a technique's efficacy, right? So my master used to tell me, right, if you're going to be a martial arts instructor, what you have to do is you have to teach what's right and learn what's left. What does that mean? It means that, when you're teaching something right, there are techniques that gets handed down to you that are very easy to explain, and the rationale behind it is very obvious. So these techniques, it's very easy to pass down to your students, and it's very easy to learn, and straightforward, and it's very effective, right? But then you receive some other techniques. You learn some techniques that makes you go, I'm not 100% on board with that technique, right? Like, I'm not sure I can pull it off, right? So a lot of people right now, the knee-jerk reaction is to call all of these techniques bullshit. But my master said, no, don't call it bullshit. Don't throw it away. Keep it. Why do you want to keep it? Because certain factors that affect how you learn and how you apply a technique. All right. I will give you 3 factors. Number 1 is your personal skill level. All right. Number 2 is the skill level of the person demonstrating or teaching the technique. And number 3, the skill level of the person you're applying it against. Right. So let's tackle number 1, your personal skill level. I have learned so many techniques when I was in high school that at the time didn't really make sense to me. And I'm like, I'm not sure this works. But I learned it anyway, right? And after years and years of practicing, I don't know what happens. Sometimes it just clicks and then it's so clear. Like, oh, of course that technique doesn't work this way. It works this way in this particular context, right? So it's me growing as a martial artist. Certain techniques suddenly become useful or suddenly become less useless. I don't know, right? And then you get the idea behind it, and then your learning and your experience of martial arts becomes more sophisticated and much deeper, right? And it kind of snowballs. The second one is the skill level of the person demonstrating the technique, right? Now, yeah, there are people out there who aren't that good at applying techniques, right? And, I don't want to be too judgmental about it because I've been there. I've been injured and I still have to teach a class, teach a workshop. And the technique I would show honestly would not work with my injured knee, right? Or with my, cough or my flu or whatever. Right, so of course it's gonna look sloppy. Of course it's not gonna look perfect. But that was the problem for that day. But generally speaking, it would work. So there are some teachers out there who aren't as fast as they should be, right? But they still teach techniques that are very dependent on speed, and then it's so easy to call bullshit on that. But when you think about it, hang on a moment. If you're fast enough, young enough, energetic enough to do certain techniques, then why not? You just threw away something because this guy can't pull it off without even trying if you can pull it off, right? And the last one that I want to talk about is the skill level of the person you're applying it to. And this one is another video entirely that I want to talk about in the future. But, when there's a big skill gap between 2 practitioners, certain techniques start becoming more feasible to do, right? Like I've seen, I am fairly sure a lot of you guys here who do arnis, if you've seen any of the disarmings, any of the lockings, if you're doing it on someone who's the same speed and same athletic ability as you, it's really hard to pull off, right? But if you teach, if you're applying it to someone with less skill level, then it's easier to pull off. If you're applying it against someone who's drunk while you're sober, it's easier to pull off. And these, and you say, well, hang on, why do you want to learn techniques for drunk people? Because you don't want to kill everyone every time, right? We have what we call in my school the drunken uncle techniques. These are the techniques that you would do on your drunken uncle when he just gets a little too rowdy. You know, the lockings, the trappings. You know, you have to be fast enough to block, but you have to have that technique to lock him in there. But you don't want to kill the guy, because it's not a life and death situation, right? So those are fairly useful in that particular context, applying it to that particular person. So again, if I were to apply those techniques, you know, with a UFC fighter who's like 50 pounds heavier than me, who's getting paid to basically work out and fight, I'd probably have a hard time applying it. But if I'm applying it to a certain context that the technique was designed for, then it works like a charm, right? So again, guys, to sum it up, you know, it's good that we're being very critical of martial arts technique, and I think it's a good idea that we're critical, but let's not be too quick about calling bullshit on things, you know? Mull it over, file it in the cabinet, as it were, right? Examine these techniques again in the future. And who knows, you know, your experience in the martial arts would deepen, and it would be even more fun. All right? So this is Raymond again. You know, I hope you guys found what I had to say a little bit helpful, and keep practicing.